broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to another Battle Creek After Show. Tonight, we're going to recap Season 1, Episode 4, Heirlooms. But before we do, little shout out to Brandon Calhoun, who is the artist who created the intro theme song for the whole series. He is a Michigan-based artist, which is super cool that they are, recognizing local talent and using him that way. And so we just sampled a little bit of one of his newer songs, Before You Go, which I believe just came out. So
shout out to Brandon.
Yeah, hit up Brandon Calhoun on Twitter and iTunes. Go check out his stuff. And before we dive into recapping the episode, I want to make sure you guys are all subscribed to us on YouTube, youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV. You can also find all the after shows on iTunes and SoundCloud. Be sure you subscribe, rate, comment, you name it.
All that jazz.
Yeah, all of it. Do it all. I'm Lauren Salaun. You can find me on Twitter at Lauren Salaun. And I'm joined tonight by Gary Thomas. Gary, how's it going? Where can everyone find you on Twitter?
Everyone can find me at I am Gary Thomas on Instagram and Twitter, and IamGaryThomas.com.
Awesome. All right, let's dive in. Heirlooms. So it starts off with Milt saying he's got a case and asking if Russ will help him out. And Russ is like, as usual, nah, not really into it. He's like, it's a homicide. Now are you interested? And of course, Russ, wants the juicy cases. And it turns out that's a 30-year-old woman who was murdered in her apartment. And of course, at the crime scene, Milt pulls out all his fancy pants FBI gear.
But of course, Russ is speculating, as he likes to do.
Speculating. He's like, what do you mean you think she was stabbed? Clearly she was stabbed, buddy. Come on. And they end up finding a dog nose print in the blood. So then they launch into this whole search for a dog, essentially. Right. And Milt, again, with his technology, ends up being able to figure out that it is a yellow lab that they're looking for. So again, not terribly narrowing it down, since yellow labs are one of the most popular dog breeds out there, I guess. But they've kind of narrowed it down to
something.
Yellow labs. Yeah.
They always give you a little something in the beginning of the show. Just a little something to make you think that this is part of,
exactly.
the NWA.
And so they're back at the station, and I love how Holly once again has a tip, or kind of pushes them in the right direction, saying that, well, as it turns out, it wasn't the right direction, but she, is thinking on her feet with stuff. And she says maybe the dog was a trick, because there's no dog stuff in the apartment. There's, no dog in the apartment. So they assume that it's not the woman's dog, that the killer maybe brought the dog in. So she suggests that, maybe it was a trick. They, oh, I found this dog. Can you help me, sort of thing. And then Niblet says maybe it was a service dog or something.
That was actually what I was initially thinking. I'm like, a dog, only way a person need a dog around, or need to have a dog when they go do something like this, or going to someone's restaurant, house, whatever it may be, is a service dog, because most people are unsuspecting of service dogs.
Exactly. Yeah. And if it's a service dog or something, or it in the heat of the moment somehow, you bring your dog in there and you're like, crap, I guess now I've got to kill you, and whoops, my dog's here. But anyway, they couldn't find any fingerprints or anything, but that dog nose they found. And then, of course, as true Milt and Russ fashion, they decide to have a little competition and have their own canine dogs kind of, competition, see whose canine is going to crack the case, essentially. And so Milt's got the, German Shepherd FBI Agent Fraser, as his name is, which is hilarious. They're like, oh, well, I don't think we need another, agent to come help. And he's like, oh no, that's our canine's name.
He's already off there,
Agent
what's
Fraser.
wrong with Cookie?
He's a dog. Yeah, and then they've got Cookie.
Everything's wrong with Cookie.
Little Cookie, who, I'm pretty sure most canines are are German Shepherds. I've seen some like pit bull type canine dogs, but
no
not
agent
little
dog looks like Cookie.
scraggly mutts. I mean, Cookie is a cute little thing, but definitely not a canine, which makes it even more funny that she's, of course, the Battle Creek dog. She's the one that they could afford. So then Milt and Russ are running around all over town trying to, find the dog whose nose print was in the blood. And they end up, Russ, I guess, kind of wins it. He stumbles, Cookie disappears, and Russ stumbles on the dog.
Right. He kind of just like, after he used some proof that Cookie gave him, to kind of get to this spot. And it said it was Cookie. Either way, it was kind of cool to see Russ sort of win.
Yeah, sort of beat him. He's like, well, wait, Milt's like, where's Cookie? He's like, oh, she's tied up out front. Not. So they figure out that this woman, she's a waitress. They question people at the restaurant where she worked and learn that everybody loved her, and that she had some regular clients and stuff, or not clients, but regular visitors that would come in, like her regulars, that she was really loved. And then they end up finding, they go to the restaurant where the dog is tied up outside. And so they're questioning all the people who work there, and they're like, okay, so clearly one of you, like, this is one of your dogs, and this is the dog that was at the crime scene, so one of you is the killer. Somebody's linked to this. Somebody was there. And in the bathroom they find a little boy, Max, who, as it turns out, we find out had been visiting his mom, who is the woman who was killed. And he has been raised since he was a little boy by 6 weeks since from his aunt, so his mom's half sister, I think she said. And the mom kind of tells us about the woman. I think her name was, what was her name? Donna. About about woman's history, about Donna's history. She's had a rough life, drug abuse. She was a prostitute for a while, all sorts of stuff. So it unveils like a shadier side to things, and you think, okay, so she's had some sketchy characters in her past. So
and Russ takes every chance he can get to kind of like twist it and say some type of dirty saying that deals with her past, like on her back again, like stuff like that.
He's like, she ended up back on her back, which then right after that he's like, she ended up back on her back, and then he's like, where's Holly? Which I thought was such a funny like Freudian slip, because he's like, talking about sex and then clearly goes to, oh wait, where's Holly? Holly's missing. We needed
this episode. He finally was like giving us something about the whole Holly thing. We've always been speculating about this, and it's like finally.
And it's always seemed very much from Holly's side. Like, definitely Holly has a crush on Russ, and he's reciprocated enough, but you didn't totally know if he did. I mean, no offense, sometimes guys can be a little clueless.
But this is Russ we're talking about.
Yeah. And so I think we needed to see Russ like actually come out and say he has a crush on her, which he does.
Yeah,
Milt totally calls him on it, and he's like, oh yeah, I do like her. And which, as we've seen this whole episode, Russ is trying to get, which he talks to Font about, saying like, well, I don't get why Milt won't, like, I want to know why he's here and more about his backstory and stuff, and why he won't tell me anything. Yeah. And he's like, well, he doesn't trust you, he's not, you're not going to be his friend, sort of thing. Like, open up to him, kind of.
Which is so, it's like amazingly oblivious of Russ. How would you not know that, he would never tell you?
You're being so antagonizing to him all the time. But he's like, oh, well, Milt's just such like a fuddy-duddy, always nice to everybody, so he's going to be nice to me, too.
Right, why is he not nice to me? Why does he not trust me? He trusts the gangsters. He trusts the drug dealers and everything.
Yeah. Well, as we've seen, I think, Milt has a lot more up his sleeve than he lets on. And he is very nice and very charming and seems very genuine with people, but he's got a lot of secrets.
But what's interesting about that, because he ended up lying to Milt, but he said in a previous episode that he has never lied to him. He said that to a perp. And then he also told...
he said, I never lie.
Yeah, he told Aaron that story about sleeping with his superior's wife.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering...
He's lying all over the place about why he's here.
So I'm wondering if I wanted to believe him in that story.
I did too. It was
he's a liar.
Good. He's like, I slept through my alarm on 9/11. I don't know what happened, and I was just like, well, people were dying, and they could have used my help. I was just there sleeping, and then later you know,
he doesn't come until...
Yeah, Russ looked at his file and he didn't join the FBI till 2003, 2 years later.
2 years after 9/11. Like, so he's just lying all over the place.
Suspicious. Yeah, what is his deal? What is so bad that he has to lie about it? I feel like it's like a really embarrassing story. Like, not necessarily that bad, like, because that 9/11 thing, that wasn't that bad, because it's not like he caused anyone's death or he made a mistake that really, you know, was really terrible. Like, yes, that's from his character, you know, he's such like a honorable guy. Of course he would have wanted to be part of that and be helping out. So I get why he would have felt really ashamed by that, and that would have changed how he kind of did the rest of his life after. But yeah, it was such like it wasn't that bad to be that secretive about it. I feel like
I think that what it was he said earlier in the episode, he said, you know, you told me a false story and I just wasn't able to think fast enough. So this time he was able to think fast enough. He had time
to think and think up a good story to trick Russ a little bit.
Exactly. And it was pretty darn good story, but
yeah, I believed Russ when he was telling him about his parents and stuff when they're waiting for the dog, and he's like, my parent, blah blah blah, all that.
He already knew.
I know.
I mean, I didn't believe Russ at that point. I thought he was just really trying, because I'm like, this, you know, I knew it was coerced. I knew he was trying to do something. So I wasn't sure if I believed it, but the fact that Milt already knew, had already did his homework, already did a background check on him.
Yeah.
It's so Milt-like.
I love it. And I love that he didn't call him on it right there, you know. He's like, thank you for opening up to me.
Yeah. I wonder why he didn't call him on it right then and there.
I know.
I'd have been like, are you really going to sit here and lie?
Yeah. So we later learn that one of this woman's clients, or John's essentially, is this really, really rich guy that Max would always see leaving when he was coming. So Donna had gone to Max at school, confronted him and said, you know, she wanted to be in his life or something, or get to know him, since she was the biological mother. And so Max would visit her once a week and would always see this same older guy leaving, who turns out to be this old rich guy who dies of a heart attack, we find out. So
after all the speculations of
on
poison,
the one hand, they think this guy's like, you know, been poisoned, but maybe he's the killer, or what's going on. They're clearly connected because he's one of her, you know, clients and stuff. You know, something fishy's going on. Find out good old fashioned poison. And this guy's like crazy rich, and we meet his 2 kids who appear to just be like, you know, and by kids I mean they're like 40 or something. They're not kids, they're adults, and they too say, you know, our dad was very well loved and everything. And when they talk to the help,
no one liked him.
When they talk to the help, it's clear that he had a lot of money and he probably paid them well, but he didn't necessarily treat them very well. And then we learn later, when he was golfing with his buddies, that he had fired his accountant, you know, that they used to all golf together. So like these guys were pals, you know, and he fires his accountant because he was embezzling from him or something. And then basically like blacklisted him from being
everybody fired him. Everyone fired him.
Yeah, which is so... I mean, I guess if someone's embezzling from you, stealing your money, you'd want to let everybody know your accountant's...
What they realized was the guy was stealing from everyone. Yeah. So, of course, he didn't. He basically did them a favor.
Yeah,
like, they found out their money was getting stolen.
Exactly. So then, of course, we all think, oh, the accountant did it, you know?
Yeah, of course, that's obviously. Story.
But... as we've learned with this show, which I said early on, right when we started watching it, and when we saw the sister, so the sister who's been raising Max, I'm like, okay, so do we think she did it? Because they always give us the killer pretty early on.
Yeah, they kind of reveal it. I like that kind of method, but it makes you not... you're all like, maybe it's this person, maybe it's that person.
Yeah,
like,
you know that it's going to be one of the first like 3 people that gets introduced, essentially. So you know no one random is going to get thrown into the mix later.
Yeah, they're pretty solid in their system.
It's a pretty strict formula, I guess, that they're using with these kind of procedurals. And so they end up revealing that, or no, the Milt and Russ bring in the siblings for questioning, and they have his will, the Mr. Whitehall's will, and say that, you know, okay, your dad was gonna leave his whole fortune to his children, but he never specified which children, which means not just you 2,
All of them. So I thought that was pretty cool because that was a Russ revelation. Now Russ doesn't get a lot of credit because Russ, he's Russ, and finally when he does little things like that, I think that's so cool because like it was a revelation of Russ, and Russ was like, the light bulb went off on Russ.
Case. Yeah, and and that this prostitute was not one of, he wasn't his hooker. She was a child. She was his half daughter. And so that's why he was going to see her over and over again, because he wanted to get to know her, and she wanted the grandson to, she
didn't want any money or anything. She just wanted to be in his life. And so when his will says his children, that doesn't specify just my 2 children. Mm-hmm. It includes that prostitute as well, or any other illegitimate children.
I know, I'm like, this guy. Well, and when we're thinking that initially, I'm thinking, well, if he's seeing a prostitute, and I'm like, wait, no, it's his daughter.
It's daughter, not
I'm like, half daughter or full daughter. Anyway, yeah. So, which is curious to me, because when you make a will, I don't know, I've never made a will or really looked at one, but wouldn't you, when you list my children, I would feel like it's pretty specific, and you're supposed to like write out actual names and stuff.
I would believe so, but I mean, he could have had like 50 children.
I mean, or it's like pretty straightforward though, if people know who your kids are, but
that's what you would think. And then like something happens, and they discover this random person or somebody in the help as a child,
Yeah, right. So. Who knows? And so they accuse his kids of killing her because they wanted the fortune all to themselves, which we later learn is like, in the $40 million range, which divided by 2, okay, 20 million, or you're getting like 15 million.
You're still getting
at that
millions.
level. Like, really, is it worth killing somebody? And my thing is like, these guys are so rich, why do you go to the house yourself and kill this woman? Hire a hitman.
Because, I mean...
Right?
I mean...
Don't get your hands dirty.
They were able to clean up, and they only trusted each other. You see, they didn't break on each other at all in the story. Yeah. They kept their story together. Neither one snitched on the other, so they only trust each other.
I know. When Gusowitz said that, when she's like, oh, you're trying to play... I really liked, actually, that moment in the show where they're, Milt's with the sister... Right, yeah, and Russ is with the brother, and they're kind of playing it back and forth with different approaches, and I thought they both were playing it well, and I really loved how they cut back and forth between, we could see that parallel, and ultimately it doesn't end up working because they don't really have evidence, and then they, Gusowitz says like, oh, it's not going to work, you're not going to get them to turn on each other, they know you don't have any evidence, and so Russ kind of gambles and puts them in the same room together thinking, okay, I'm going to tell them we don't have evidence, and here's the thing, you guys can confess now, or we're going to like find the evidence, basically, like, I'm
have
really
a warrant
good
before
cop.
you can get rid of these clothes.
We're gonna find it all, and then you're gonna be in jail forever. Which, get up and walk out.
Right, still didn't shake them, but I still thought this was like Russ's shine time this episode. Like, that was cool. Like, he was really really cool this episode. He was thinking on his
toes, and Milt even gave him some kudos with like, hey, it was worth a shot,
But now we gotta get that warrant.
Yeah, and then they like haul to get over there, and as we see when they get to the house, they're trying to burn the evidence,
which the brother and sister are still like, you won't get anything off of it because it's burnt.
Yeah, and I thought this was so smart. He's like, we don't need to. We either needed a confession from you guys, which we didn't get, or we needed evidence, and
that's probable cause.
Yeah, and tell me that when we put this in front of a jury and we're like, oh, after we arrested them and let them go, that we come to their house and they're burning clothes that most likely have evidence, like, duh, they're guilty, so then they like try and bolt from it, which, and then the rest of the team is out in front. And I mean, I think, like, come on, if you do that, I think you probably get rid of this stuff, like, right away. Like,
you're supposed to cover your tracks right away. Who does it? Like, okay, they cleaned up really well.
Yeah, let's just put it in the room or something.
Exactly. But then you don't burn the clothes. Like, who the heck doesn't do that? That was so stupid.
Yeah. And so one of my questions is, are the brother and sister living there together?
It seemed as such.
Or I know. Or they're just there because their dad died, so they're there kind of like taking care of things or whatever. But it seems like
they were moving into the estate. Remember, they wanted the estate, probably. Yeah. Probably what they were doing. They were moving on in.
What weirdos. What are they doing? So they get the bad guys, of course, and at the end we end up, you know, throughout this episode, we've, like we said a little bit earlier, Holly's been leaving kind of early, and Russ is like,
never noticed to take lunch.
Yeah, Russ is like, what is she doing? She keeps popping out of here, and which is fun, cute to see. I think Russ like knows her schedule down so well.
She never takes lunch, and they're like,
right.
Okay, well, she's second into the day. Who cares?
Yeah. Oh, and backing up to the beginning again, so we learned that, which she may have said it before, but Holly does say, you know, I know I'm just the office manager. So finally we have like a solid
That was like your totally your thing.
Finally.
I was like, well, maybe she's not.
No, I was
maybe
calling her secretary or something.
Yeah, we were calling her secretary all the time.
But I've always felt like she was destined for so much more because she's so like
intuitive.
helpful with
her
the
character's
case.
intuitive.
Yeah, so intuitive. And as we see, and as she tells Russ, she's been going on interviews, which of course I thought job interviews initially, and then she's actually been going to interviews about law school. She applied to law school.
Apparently that must be a lie too.
Why?
Well, because remember, so at the end of that, you know, he asked like, are you seeing somebody basically?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I've been going to interviews in law school. And then he stopped her after they had their conversation about everything else. He's like, there's no law schools in Battle Creek.
Well, it's not a lie. She's going to move away.
Oh! Well,
yeah, that's what I think it means. She's gonna move and leave them.
See, that's the thing, because I got a different thing from it. I felt like maybe she was just telling him that
she was lying too.
Yeah, she was lying to like spare his feelings.
No, well, I guess you could take it that way.
I didn't think about what you were saying.
She's meaning like that means she's applying to law schools like in Detroit or something.
I thought it meant like she was applying to law school because, you know, she was telling him that
law school
was really, she was like, you know, going on some date or something because, or she's seeing somebody. Yeah, because she didn't want to hurt his feelings, so she made up this story.
No, I think she's really applying to law school, and she's thinking about moving, and which makes me sad. And I think that Russ is going to end up like having to, you know, come in the way of that in some way to like profess his love to her and make her change her mind.
Stay in Battle Creek instead of becoming a lawyer.
Yeah, but and here's the thing, like for their like love story and romance and for the show, I'm like, cool, yeah, do that because I want to see them date and stuff. But like for real life, no, girl. Go to law school.
Like, go to law school. Don't be an office manager for this jerk.
For this crappy police department.
Right.
Yeah. So I think we ran through all of it. Well, no, I mean the conclusion, which was a really, I think, happy ending for
the
what
little
it's
boy
worth.
gets $42 million.
Yeah, because this two siblings, you know, because there was crime involved in the whole thing, you know, they get bypassed somehow. That's like, you know, the really technical legal speak for it. No, they get bypassed somehow, and he gets all the inheritance, which is $42 million. Which is crazy. Like he's set for life. And you know, we've heard that him, you know, his family, his mom, his aunt, you know, they have had a kind of a rough life financially, at least. So that
could be a revelation.
It was a really happy ending, I think. And yeah, I thought ultimately this episode was solid again. I think we keep diving deeper into trying to at least figure out what Milt's backstory is. We keep thinking we get it.
He's a liar now. I don't know if I like Milk anymore.
I know
Milk anymore. Like
he just keeps getting a little not shady in any way, but you see that like that really like polished, charming facade. Like there's something going on back there that he's not totally proud of.
You know what's crazy? You know, when you go on YouTube, you know, Battle Creek has a YouTube as well, you guys, and Josh Duhamel has a lot of interviews, and I've seen him on a couple different daytime TV shows, and he's not too far different than Mo. He's very, very charming, very nice and genuine. He talks about his son, who's I think almost 2 now. You know, so he's
named Axel.
I know.
Axel Rose. I love that.
So he's just I don't know. Like I hate that Milt is a liar because Josh is just so cool.
I know, but it's got to be. Here's the thing. It's got to be like a really solid reason. I feel like because he does seem like such a guy of such integrity that. I think for him to be keeping that a secret, you know, it's got to be something good.
I think whatever it is, it's going to be very entertaining because of the creators. The creators who are, you know, their backstory of the shows that they've worked on before. You just have to expect that this is going to be pretty good. You know, we're talking about Breaking Bad, you know, so this is going to be some type of groundbreaking, really either super funny or just super crazy,
I think it's going to be super intense and dramatic.
Yeah, I feel like they're giving
think
us
so.
so much because, like I said, before we started the show, heirlooms. Why did we not figure out
Right,
what this
yeah.
what this crime was about? So I feel like they're giving us the little bits, and they're gonna give us this big twist at some point in time.
I know. Next week we're gonna have to see what the title of the episode is, and then
So I can solve it right away. I hate waiting around.
Make a few predictions right based off of the title, because they do give us those nuggets every single time.
Exactly.
Though Man's Best Friend last week, let's talk about that. Man's Best Friend, that was the name of the episode, and Cookie just found the backpack of drugs.
Yeah,
so
I
that
guess
didn't really
that didn't
reveal
give
a
us-
whole
but
lot.
this one, heirloom.
But this week was about dogs.
Well,
That's why
but the title was heirlooms. I felt like
Heirlooms.
that was a
Yes.
dig, and I didn't even think about it like as time went on in the episode. Like
I know, like
should know.
tomatoes, old jewelry.
Exactly.
What's it going to be about?
Last week's episode was by far my favorite, though.
Yeah.
This one was
It
great
was
too.
intense. Last week's was very intense. I think
I
it was the
know, I
most
love
like
that.
intense that we've had. I think the first few were super comical and very much on the comedy side of things, and last week's was much more dramatic, and I think this week's was pretty dramatic too. There were some funny moments like when they're chasing the dogs around, but I think for the most part this one was pretty dramatic as well.
I think that Russ had some really good monologues that were just, added
Mm-hmm.
the drama in there. So that was the big part. But I love that they are able to do a good mix of comedy
I
and
think so,
drama
too. Yeah.
and, crime and relationships. It's such a good mix. And I love that we're diving more and more to each character.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see a little bit more of the kind of the outside characters like Niblet and all the other
Yeah.
ones, Funkhauser.
I
Well, we
know.
always hear about Funkhauser and his wife, Shailene, which is funny. But I love that they're developing characters, and now they're developing Holly more.
Right.
So,
yeah.
let's see if we can see some
I
other
do like
ones.
that. We did see some of Font with his, his marijuana for
Yeah.
his headaches and stuff. So I do like that they're giving us a little, kind of B plots of the other characters
Mm-hmm.
too. So I do want to see more about Holly. I'm nervous that she's going to leave for law school
I
or
love-
something. I don't think she really is.
But you know what? That's the cool part of like the way they write the show. It's always like that little B plot that so Holly was this week. Last week was the different layers. I love
Yeah.
that. It's something you can pay attention to two different stories and kind of get a little both.
Right. Yeah. So we were talking before the show about how each week we should kind of play back how we would have pulled off the crime if we had been in the shoes. And so let's see. If we're killing a potential prostitute / waitress
/ sister.
/ your half sister, I guess. True. Oh, that's even sadder. Oh my gosh, what meanies. First of all, I mean, the biggest thing, well, no, I already mentioned it. I would hire a hitman if I had millions of dollars.
So
to
you
kill
would have went to
somebody. I
jail
wouldn't get
because the
my hands
hitman
dirty.
snitched on you because they would have taken the plea deal.
No, I pay him off nice. Or if I did it myself, burn those clothes immediately.
Duh. Yeah, I think that. Well,
Burn those clothes, and then you take the ashes, because who knows what they could get out of that, and then you put them in some lake,
River.
far, far away.
Like Michigan.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
How would you pull this crime off?
I don't think I would have did it. I would just paid her.
Okay, come on. I
We're
wouldn't
talking
have done
about-
it in real life either. But
We're talking about
that's not the
$42
point.
million.
Yeah.
I think we'd have been okay.
No, I agree. I'm not talking about right versus wrong right here.
I mean, maybe I would have. Well, did they kind of mention this with maybe getting a plea with her, like, I'll give you this amount of money if you never mention that you're his daughter. But
Right. I think I probably would have. Yeah, that's a good angle to take it too. If you're not just gonna straight up kill her, like apparently I am.
right, it's like you're right along with the sibling, just as rude. Just let's go stab her.
Yeah.
Stab her
But
in the
how
back.
would she have known? I guess because she was talking to the dad. But would she have come forward? I don't know.
That's the thing, they didn't know. Once he died, they don't know if she would have finally stepped forward and said, I'm his daughter, and then
Yeah, 'cause
bloodline would have proved
she
it.
didn't seem like she was after the money and stuff, just the relationship. So
Exactly. But you never know.
you never
when
know who's gonna dig into that, and those kids were so spoiled.
And you know what? I believe, when the situation like that happened, they do seek out other family. It could have been someone else in the family who knew about her or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, is there anything we missed, or should we dive into some predictions? Let's do it. Let's predict a few things.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV
Alrighty.
predictions.
Let's see. Well, from the spoilers or the previews for next week, we see that there's an arsonist going around, and he or she tries to burn down Goosewitz's house while she's in it and tries to kill her. So I feel like next week, the person who's doing this is going to be somebody that they potentially put in jail for something. So like somebody from a past case.
Yeah.
That they put in jail or arrested and their life got really screwed up because of it. And maybe they weren't really the one who did it, falsely accused. I don't know. But then they're coming back for revenge. That's what I think is happening. I feel like I really want Russ to make a move on Holly.
I know. I want that. I'm definitely on the line with that one. I need something. I need some development in this little love affair. And some of these have. I don't think for the sake of the show that they're really gonna ever get together. But something's gonna.
Oh yeah, they'll like.
Yeah, they're gonna keep that.
Lead us on for a long time with that one.
I think Russ might call out Milt.
Yeah.
I think Russ holds on a lot of little information about Milt, and he never really like voices it. I think at one point in time, it's gonna all spill out. Like he's gonna be like, you know what, you're just a liar. Yeah. You lied about this.
In front of everybody.
Yeah, like stop trusting him, stop liking him.
Yeah,
he's a phony.
Fraud. All this and like, yeah. I don't know about next week, but I think I could see that. Though part of me really wants them to bond and like have it be a real moment that Milt shares the truth, but because he's covered it up so many times now, I feel like he's got to kind of out him in front of everybody like that.
Yeah, he's been kind of stringing them along. Like even though we see sometimes they break ground, it's like, you know, they're really working together, and I think it makes all the viewers happy when you see Russ and Milt finally like working together cohesively. But Milt is a liar. Like
I know
really
you do
lies.
Not like Milt right now. You
really broke my heart.
Russ.
Like you really just like, and then I was never Team Russ, but I can't stand that Milt keeps lying.
I know, me too. It's come on, Milt.
Right, like
tell us the truth or stop.
I don't know what to believe at
Just
this
say
point
I don't
anymore.
want to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know what to believe anymore.
Don't be a liar.
He's not as charming as we thought.
No. Alrighty, I think that just about does it for us this week. Yes. Thank you everybody out there for tuning in, and be sure to catch up with us next week. Tweet at us, download the podcast on iTunes, listen along on SoundCloud, subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV. We want to know what you guys thought of the episode, so leave some comments below the video here where I'm pointing. Yes. Tweet at us. Again, I'm Lauren Salaun. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere at Lauren Salaun. That's LaurenSalaun. Gary, where can everyone find you online again?
Of course, you can find me at I am Gary Thomas on Instagram and Twitter, and IamGaryThomas.com.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.